Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Dr. Alaa Khalifa, the international tourism marketing expert. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. Of course, everyone is looking forward to the jam, to the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum, but more specifically, the collection, the entire collection of Tutankhamun. What is the significance of having the entire collection at once, despite what happened at the Egyptian Museum for years or maybe decades?
The space where we actually had in the older museum in Tahrir Square to exhibit the entire collection was not enough to exhibit that collection. So many of them were still in the stores and kept for renovation. Many of them were not out of it because there's so many duplicates in the tomb. And once you have all of these things come out of the storage rooms and then move to the new museum, when you're talking about 5,700 pieces of artifacts and objects, that's a lot.
Yes.
Especially when you have a lot of Egyptian statues, you know, in large number that are represented all the days of the year. Almost 400 of these statues.
Just to serve the king in the afterlife.
Just to serve the king. 365 of them to represent 365 days of the year, and for each 10 days of the year, which actually the 10 days in ancient Egypt, they consider them as a 1 week. So the 1 week time. It was not like 7 days, it was actually 10 days. At that time, they had like a supervisor for each 10 days, for each of the 10 of those statues. But anyway, that can take you up to almost 400 of these statues. Plus you have number of coffins, interlaced coffins one inside the other. You have masks, you have a lot of artifacts and amulets and things like that. And on the other hand, providing an entire exhibition, not only for the Tutankhamun tomb, but also for the other tombs where we found ancient Egyptian jewels discovered. Tennis tomb, we discovered a whole treasure in Tanis, a whole royal tomb, they're called the royal tombs of Tanis, and they all exhibited there. And the ancient Egyptian amulets that have been found in various locations from even earlier dynasties. So all of these things have been exhibited in a jewelry room, which is much more enlarged, bigger, and it can tell the story in a much better way. But let me take you to another thing before you jump to the next question.
Yes.
How we market that museum. You're bringing me, I'm a marketeer.
Yes.
And I can tell you how we market it by putting engagement, by getting younger generations engaged through social media, through that museum, by taking the right bits of the story and telling that bits of the story and making the full pieces of the puzzle, you know, connected together through the museum, by telling them one by one, king by king, story dynasty by dynasty, how things are moving around. Let's inaugurate the museum, and after 1 year go to Hollywood and get those people who did Night at the Museum to do Night at the Grand Museum.
Ben Stiller.
Yes, Night at the Grand Museum. You know, come do Night at the Grand Museum. They're not going to do anything in the museum. They're going to build a mock-up for the museum. But then
the publicity itself.
The publicity that this will be broadcasted to almost 1 billion people around the world. Look at what Night at the Museum did to the Museum of Natural History in New York.
And they had one in England
too. And then they did part 2. But look at that. If you do Night at the Grand Egyptian Museum, like continuing the series,
if everything comes to life,
each one of those ancient Egyptian kings coming to life and telling his story, you know, through a dramatic story and a funny and engaging and family-oriented. Think beyond the box. Think how we get, and I'm telling everyone in Hollywood, you know, think 1 year from now to Night at the Grand Museum, and you would never regret it. It's going to be a hit, big hit, to market that museum across the world. Plus other marketing technique, traditional, non-traditional, digital, engaging, immersive, so many other marketing techniques. It's a whole new strategy, and I can put a whole thing and I can show it to you in the next episode.
Yes, hopefully. But one important part of it is the social media, because
social media,
everything is happening on social media nowadays, with the influencers, with the YouTubers, they are here nowadays. How can we be dealing with the influencers, more specifically the people themselves, the people of Egypt, not just the people who are affiliated with the Ministry of Tourism or the Antiquities or the Grand Egyptian Museum, the people themselves, the culture? Do you think that we need a change of that?
Do you know what's the best content you can create? It's the user-generated content. It's a content created by you, by
Yes.
me, by somebody else who's visiting the museum. It's a cultural experience. It's the touristic experience. It's the review. It's the opinion. It's the title. It's the concept. It's the understanding. It's called user-generated content. So instead of just going and say, hey, I have the best pieces, I have the best exhibition, I have the... No, let people say, hey, I've seen the best pieces. I have done the best exhibition. I have walked through this. I have lived the story. I have lived the experience. And so when people do user-generated content to other people, that content becomes more credible, and it starts to generate other content. And so you start to create endless loops of content about the project. And I'm telling you this because that's what destination marketing organizations around the world are using right now. They are depending on a user, on a third party, user created content. They have user generated content. They engage influencers, as you said.
Yes.
They engage, they create reels and shorts that look like they were made by normal people. Not that ones that are top highly end professional, no, natural. Because that's where people are mostly engaged. You know, they found out that the videos that are made naturally by people and that represent more and more natural moments are more engaging than those who are like articulated videos or shorts or reels. So in other words, there are so many ways. One of them, of course, is social media engagement and family-oriented techniques, how to get families, you know, connected to the museum. Dedicate a free day for senior citizens in the middle of the week to visit the museum. Dedicate on some of the occasions where you have Mother's Day, Father's Day, and any of the, open the museum for free for younger generations to go and visit. There's so many ways. Create membership clubs. You know, there's so many ways to get people engaged. This is what happens at the Louvre Museum, happens in the Hermitage, happens in other museums around. British Museum, the same thing. So the Grand Egyptian Museum is a unique opportunity for us to engage with younger generations. And I'm telling you, from 1 year from now, you know, let's hear about night at the Grand Museum.
Yes, and finally, Doctor, how do you think this will be affecting the Egyptian economy, tourism in general, and the inauguration of the gem?
As a museum itself, it's not supposed to be like an entity that generates income.
Yes.
Okay, museums, you spend billions or you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a museum, and it's not going to. This is not a commercial project, but it resonates its effect through the overall image of the country. When countries are recognized by 3 or 4 main icons. These icons, I would summarize them in the following. An airport. So when you land in a country's airport, that's the first impression and the last impression.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. And secondly, museums, because museums are housing that shows culture. Whether that museum could be a cultural museum, could be an antiquities museum, could be a museum. So the more museums you have in a country, the more famous the country into the, you know, can be attractive.
Yes.
And I'll be quickly.
No, take your time.
And the next thing is the natural historical sites, which is like places for temples and battles, places for tombs, and all of these archaeological sites. And the third thing is the natural sites, which is like landscapes, you know, beaches or corals or mountains or any of these things, so or deserts or any of these things. So once you have all of these 4 elements and they are all resonating together, you create a soft power for the country. And once that soft power is implemented within those travelers, see, a lot of destination marketing organizations around the world, they get it right now, and a lot of them, they don't get it. People think, okay, let's promote travel to our destination by promoting travel to every tourist coming to our destination. No, we're actually promoting travel to our destination to tourists who are actually coming for our destination for the first time. But we want, after that retention of those who have come for the first time, to come back So it's a marketing and retargeting. So we have to acquire more people and to maintain those who come before, give them the right experience. All goes to the 4 elements, as I'm telling you. You know, airports, museums, natural history, archaeological sites. Once they have a refined first-hand experience, then they will always come back and bring their friends, and so we can reach that target of 30 million tourists every year.
Yes, hopefully by the year 2030. Dr. Alaa Khalifa,
Yes.
the international tourism marketing expert, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
You're
And the
welcome.
Happy
It's a great
Ramadan.
pleasure.
Pleasure
Thank
is
you.
all mine. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate. However, I will be leaving you with one last report about the visit by the Egyptian Orthodox Parliamentary Assembly visit to St. Catherine's Monastery in the country. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report. Thank you for watching and goodbye.